The first day of school can go one of two ways. It can either be an amazing day that you've been looking forward to for months because you get to see your friends again, or it could be the worst day ever. Most of the time, it was the worst day ever. Actually, every time. It was the worst day ever. But before you even got to school, you had to do back to school shopping. I know, I'm sorry. I hate that phrase too, but you had to do it. You'd see the commercials like,
"Come to Target to do your back to school shopping. Do you need pencils, paper, crayons, chocolate, an air fryer, dog food? Whatever you need, we got it."
And when you saw those back to school commercials for the first time, the depression instantly hit you. Your days of spending 18 hours playing video games and making plans with your friends that never actually happen are over, because now you have to head back to school. And then the night before the first day comes, and this is when you really start to feel it, because you got to make sure that on your first day, you're looking your best. You're thinking, finally, this will be the year I get a girlfriend. So you pick out your outfit for the next day like it's the most important decision you've ever made in your life. And honestly, it kinda is. You need to walk in there and make a statement. And when you finally land on something and you feel good about it, you lay it out and go to bed feeling like you've got the next day all handled. So you lay down, close your eyes, and bam, the alarm goes off. It's 6:45 a.m., which is 3 hours earlier than you had been waking up for the past 2.5 months. And before you even get up to start getting ready, you just stare at the wall. Not for any particular reason, but because you just don't want to accept the fact that you have to get up and go to school for the next 9 months. So you don't. No, instead, you go back to bed, because 5 more minutes of sleep won't hurt, right? But then your mom comes running in, flashbangs you by turning on your lights, and says,
"Hey, get up."
I don't know why I said that in a manly voice. My mom's not a guy, okay? But then your mom ends up being the reason you're still late because she takes forever to get ready. But finally, you leave your house and arrive to school. And this is where it really starts. When you get there, every single year, without fail, you see kids who show up on the first day wearing the most unfortunate outfits you have ever seen in your life. Like they genuinely woke up, looked in the mirror, and said,
Yeah, this is it.
and it's literally a 3D wolf hoodie or the Galaxy shirt that looks like it came from a different dimension. Or it's someone wearing full anime gear. Low-key, these are all the things I would have worn if I wasn't insecure. But this is where things start to get weird, because you start seeing people from previous school years, except they look completely different. Someone got taller, someone got a haircut, someone looks like they spent the whole summer in the gym. You never knew so much could change in just 3 months. Some kids show up and you genuinely do not recognize them. They walk past you and go,
"Yo, what's up, Tyler?"
and you're thinking,
Do I know this kid?
but then you look a little closer and realize, that's Kevin. Like, the same Kevin who just 3 months ago was 4'2"
And had a voice higher than Mickey Mouse.
somehow he went through puberty overnight. I remember on the first day one year, there was this girl in my science class. I was thinking, oh my gosh, she's beautiful. She must have just transferred here. So for about the first 2 weeks of school, I was crushing over her. I didn't say anything because I didn't know how to approach her until our teacher in that class let us choose our own seats. So of course, I sat right next to her. We started talking, and I thought we were really vibing. But then it got to the point where I asked,
So obviously, you're new to this school. Did you transfer here, or what's your story?
but then she gave me a really weird look and was like,
What are you talking about?
so I said,
Well, I've never seen you before being in this class together, and I basically know everyone at the school, so didn't you transfer here?
but then she told me what her full name was, which we're just gonna say was Jenna Smith for the video. So then I was like,
Wait, Jenna Smith, as in the Jenna Smith I've gone to school with since kindergarten?
and she said, yeah. But I literally didn't even know it was her because she looked so different from the year before. I had no idea a person could change how they look so much in just 3 months. And I live in LA, where everyone's getting plastic surgery to look like a new person every day. Unfortunately, we never dated because, well, we knew each other since kindergarten and she never had feelings for me. And I certainly didn't change that much over the summer, so she wasn't interested in me. But sometimes these transformations are not improvements. Someone will show up to school on that first day looking like they gave up on life. Another person will show up thinking they should try out that M&M buzz cut, only to realize that now their head looks like an actual M&M. And when you're talking to them, you don't know whether to acknowledge it or just act like you didn't notice. Yeah, just pretend you didn't notice. And while you're seeing all your friends and the people you call friends but will actually never see again once you leave school, the first thing you do when talking with each other is compare schedules. This is one of the most stressful moments of the entire day. Because if you have classes with your friends, this year will be amazing. But if you don't, you might just want to consider changing schools. Because not only is it just more fun to have classes with your friends to make it less boring, but it's also important. Because if you are in a class where you don't know anyone, how do you think group projects are gonna go? I'll tell you, they're gonna go horrible. Because one day, the teacher is going to say,
All right, class, get into groups.
and everyone is gonna go with their little cliques. Meanwhile, you just stand there looking like Stuart Little at the adoption center because no one wants to put you in their group. So you look around and realize there's only 2 other kids in the class who also don't have a group, and you're forced to work with them. You give them a chance thinking, hey, maybe these people will be my new friends. But it turns out one of the dudes in your group has a breath that smells like fish, and the other girl only goes to school once every 10 business days. So you're basically doing the whole group project by yourself. So when I say having classes with your friends is important, I mean it. Your fate is entirely dependent on whatever random algorithm the school used to make those schedules. You're standing there with your friends, and everyone pulls out their schedules at the same time. You start going through it class by class.
Okay, first period, what do you guys have? I've got math. Yeah, me too. Mr. Henderson? No, Miss Milano. Okay, well, what about second period? I have English with Mrs. Rodriguez. Dang, I got history.
Okay, that's fine. We still have third period. Actually, no, we don't, because there's no match for third period class. There's no match for fourth period. No match for fifth period. No match for sixth, seventh, eighth, ninth, 10th, 11th. And now you're starting to panic because you realize you have 0 classes with your friends. I don't know if I'm just reflecting on my school experience, but this was always how it went for me. I would literally never get classes with my friends. I don't know if my principal was just sitting there when making the schedules thinking,
Oh man, Tyler's gonna hate this. I love it.
but that was literally what it felt like. If I got one class with anyone in my friend group, I would be stoked because it was so uncommon for me. But then there's always that one kid in your friend group who somehow got the perfect schedule. They have classes with everyone, every single period. There was someone from the friend group, and you're just sitting there like,
How? How did you manage this? Did you bribe someone? Did your parents call the school?
meanwhile, you're over here stuck in classes with Beavis and Butthead. You wouldn't think it can get any worse than not having classes with your friends, but oh, trust me, it can. Because at one of the schools I went to, we had staggered lunch periods, which meant you may not be going to lunch at the same time as all your other classmates. The time you were going to lunch was even more scary to look at than the class schedule, because if you have completely different lunch periods than your friend, your year was gonna be awful. There was really no way around it. And of course, one year, I didn't have my lunch period with a single one of my friends. Now, is that likely because I only had 2 friends? I'd prefer to not answer that. But now y'all can see why I just say eating lunch in the bathroom is the move. Because it's the first day and there's so much going on, you're already stressed. But that stress gets multiplied by 1,000 when the first bell rings, signaling that you gotta get to class. Because this is when you realize you have no idea where your classes are at. I don't know what room B67 is. Only rooms I know at this school are the bathroom, the cafeteria, and the room of the teacher I have a crush on. Mrs. Rodriguez, I'm still single if you're watching this and wanna give me a chance. Hit me up. Okay, sorry, I had to try, guys. But anyways, it doesn't matter if you went to this school last year. It doesn't matter if you've been here for 3 years. It's still impossible to find your classrooms on the first day. And now you only have 6 minutes to do it before you are late. And you can't be late on your first day. So now you're standing in the hallway, looking at your schedule, sweating, trying to find your first class. And you have an idea of where it might be, so you start walking in that direction. But this is where it all falls apart. Because on my first day of school one year, I went towards where I thought my class was gonna be. But when I got there, I found out it was a history class. That would not have been a problem if it weren't for the fact that I was supposed to be in science class. So I embarrassingly left the class after finding out I was in the wrong one, and I was trying to figure out where I went wrong. My paper clearly said I am in room 317B, and the room I was in said 317. But oh wait, what's that? Oh, the building I'm in is the D building, not the B building? Thanks a lot, dyslexia. And of course, the B building is on the very other side of school. So I'm sprinting to the other side as quickly as possible because the second bell already rang, meaning class has started and I'm late. Keep in mind, because this is the first day, students are picking their seats for the class. And picking your seat on the first day is quite possibly the most important thing you can do all year. If you pick a good seat next to someone you have a crush on, that could literally be the person you end up marrying. Will it actually be? Probably not, because you're just a dumb teenager that's never been in a relationship before. So it won't last. But also, what do I know? I've never been in one either. Cut the cameraman. Now that I think about it, there are probably a bunch of you out there who watch my videos that are like 5 or 10 years younger than me, yet you've still been in more relationships than me. What am I doing? But anyways, I'm running around trying to find building B, but I just can't. I saw building A, I saw building C, but building B, it was almost as if it was invisible. So I wave the white flag and just go to the office and ask someone working in there,
Hey, does anyone know where building B is?
and they tell me that building B is just the second floor of building A. That would have been really nice to know earlier. So I sprint back over to building A, eventually finding my classroom. And I'm terrified to open that front door because I know what waits for me on the inside. At this point, I had to have been 10 minutes late by now, so everyone was already there. I open the door, and like a pack of seagulls looking at a dude who dropped a fry on the ground, every student turns and stares at me. The teacher already knew my name because she just took attendance and I was the only one not there, and she just told me to sit down. Now, I don't know if everyone does this, but the part that I looked forward to the most on the first day, but was also the most terrified of, was when I went into every class and saw who was in it with me. The first thing you do is check to see if anyone you know is in it. It doesn't even have to be your friends, just cool people at the school. If there's a lot of them in your class, amazing. The class will be great. If not, you know the next 9 months are about to be straight misery. And after you finish that check, you start scanning to see if any of the potential crushes you may have are in that class. This is very important because if you have someone that you have a crush on in your classes, it's gonna be a great year. I mean, are you actually gonna talk to them? No shot. That's just way too scary. But you hope that they fall in love with you after feeling your mysterious aura radiate through the classroom. And when you finish these checks, you're thinking, okay, the worst part of the day is over. But that's wrong, because this is what happens next. Good morning, everyone! Welcome back! Who is excited to be here?
Shut up.
Okay, well, before we get started, we have something very important I would like everyone to do. Icebreakers.
Oh, come on. You gotta be kidding me.
Why do teachers insist on doing icebreakers every year when the whole class hates doing them and no one actually takes them seriously? I have no clue, but you have to do them anyway. It's always something embarrassing. It'll be 2 truths and 1 lie, or share your favorite summer memory, or tell us why you smell so bad. Okay, maybe that last example was just a personal one. But anyways, you're forced to do these. And since you didn't actually do anything cool over the summer worth talking about, you just make something up. So when it's your turn to share, you say,
I went to Tokyo.
Oh, cool, Tyler. What was your favorite part?
The rice?
little do they know, the closest I've ever been to Japan was going to Little Tokyo in Los Angeles. But I can't admit to the class that the most fun thing I actually did over the summer was climb the leaderboards in some Roblox games. And for some reason, there's always one kid who actually is excited to share what they did over the summer.
Oh, I went to a summer camp and enjoyed some great food with some great friends.
Shut up, Greg. You're not supposed to actually enjoy doing this. That ruins the whole point. And here's where it really starts to set in. The realization that this isn't just one class. It's not just one teacher. It's not just one icebreaker and one awkward moment and then you're done. It's every class back to back to back. And every single teacher has their own thing going on. Some of them are the enthusiastic type from earlier, some of them are quiet, some of them are strict, but all of them, every single one, have one thing in common on the first day: the syllabus. I don't know if this was just me because I hated reading, but I absolutely despised the syllabus. Every teacher, without fail, spends a massive chunk of the first class going over it. The part that is most annoying about it is you gotta have your parents sign it when you get home. But of course, you forget to show it to your parents, so you just end up forging their signature. For legal reasons, that was a joke. I've never done that before. But it's like the teachers don't realize we have 5 other classes we have to do this with. And it gets even more scary because when you actually start reading the syllabus, you realize this class is gonna be awful because it will outline all the big assignments for the year. And you're seeing that you have 15 essays in your English class, an exam every other day in math. And the only thing that actually catches your eye on the syllabus is the one day in science class where you get to dissect a frog. But even that sounds fun until you actually have to do it. And your friend, who is definitely gonna work at McDonald's one day, throws frog guts at you because he thinks it's funny. No, that was just my class. Okay. Anyways, by the 3rd period, you've already heard the same first day speech 3 times. You've been handed 3 syllabuses. You've done 3 icebreakers, making up lies like you only have 4 toes because one got bitten off by a bear when you were hiking in the wilderness. But a super depressing aspect of the first day is that when you actually arrive at school, your backpack weighs maybe 5 pounds. You could throw that thing like a football with how light it is. All you have is like 2 notebooks, a couple pens and pencils, and your LeBron Barbie doll. But when you go home from school that day, it weighs about 500 pounds because your teachers are giving you textbooks that weigh as much as me after I quit my New Year's resolutions. They say that you'll need to bring that textbook to school every day because you're gonna be using it very often in class. But newsflash, you never use the textbook, so don't even bother bringing it. And if you actually do have to end up using it, just say your dog ate it. And if you don't have a dog, I don't know, say your brother ate it or something. And even though your spirit is absolutely broken by this point and your will to live is diminishing by the second, the one thing you're telling yourself is,
Okay, let's just make it to lunch.
everything will get better at lunch, right? Right? The first day of lunch is great because you get to relax for a second and catch up with all your friends that you haven't seen over the summer. That's not true actually, because right when lunch starts and you get to the tables, you have to make a decision. Where do you sit? This sounds simple, but it's not because you don't know where any of your friends are yet. You walk in and scan the room, the entire room, just looking for a familiar face. You're starting to panic because tables are filling up fast and you don't want to be the dude that sits by himself on the first day. Or in my case, sit in the bathroom. Like on my first day one year, I couldn't find my friends right away and I started to panic because everyone else sat down and I was just sitting there looking dumb like the one kid who had no friends to sit with. So I'm just thinking, how the heck did everyone figure this out already? We were just in class with these people 30 seconds ago. Did they all just coordinate this before school even started? And after about 3 minutes of looking, I couldn't find my friend group. And because I was embarrassed to stay out there any longer, I just went to my car to eat. I did end up getting in trouble for going to the parking lot during school, but at least it saved me from embarrassment. But even if you do find your friend group, lunch on the first day is still bad. Because, okay, sure, you get to hang out with your friends, but you just went from having homemade meals, pasta, steak, filet mignon, Actually, I think that's just another version of steak. But anyways, when the first day of school starts, all that goes away. You go from eating 5-star meals made from your mom to prison food. Well, unless your mom can't cook, then you're basically eating prison food at home too. I'm gonna whisper this part because my mom is in the other room, but she's not very good at cooking either. I'm sorry, Mom. I love you, but it's time to put the crock pot down. But when you get to lunch on your first day, the lunch lady hands you a tray. And on that tray is this. A collection of items that are technically classified as food, but are somehow none of the things you expected them to be. The pizza don't look like pizza. It's got bread made out of cardboard. Or maybe you're getting served chicken, which doesn't sound too bad until you put the chicken up next to your ear and realize you can still hear it saying, cock-a-doodle-doo! The rice looks like it's been sitting under a heat lamp since last Thursday. And this is the moment where you just look up to the sky and go,
Jesus, I know you hear me right now. Please don't let this food kill me.
And on the first day, there's always two types of teachers. Either the one who, like a normal human being that isn't evil, decides to not give you homework because being back to school in general is enough trauma. Or you have the teacher that gives you homework on the first day. When a teacher does that, you already know this class is going to be horrible. A teacher giving homework on the first day genuinely should not even be legal. Think about it. You just spent the whole summer not using your brain on anything other than cranking 90s in Fortnite. And now you're expected to do math problems? How do you expect me to even solve these? You ain't even taught us anything this year yet. You are literally just giving us this homework to be performative. Like, you know there's no actual reason to give it. Genuinely, the only thing worse than this is when on your first day, the teacher announces there will be a test at the end of the week. I'm gonna start a petition to get these teachers fired. I don't know how this would work, but we have to try. I ain't even in school anymore, and I'm still passionate about making sure teachers stop doing this. But there is nothing more scary than going to class to see whether your teacher is cool or not. It changes how the whole school year will go, because you're gonna be at this place for 7 hours a day, 5 days a week. So you really don't want to have a horrible teacher. Now that I think about it, we're basically going to school the same amount of time as people go to jobs. We should be getting paid for this. But you know that saying that goes, all bad things come to an end? Well, that's the same with school, because after what feels like the longest day in the history of the world, the final bell rings. And you walk out of that building and the sun is still shining because it's August and the sun doesn't go down until 8 p.m. And you just stand there for a second. Like you're relieved that you survived, but at the same time, you're thinking,
Wow, this is really my life now for the next 9 months.
so your mom comes and picks you up, says, how was school? As if she doesn't already know the answer. Then you get home, drop your stuff off, and you just sit. You sit on the couch, or you sit on your bed, or you sit wherever, and you don't move. You don't turn on the TV, you don't pick up your phone, you just sit and try not to cry. But you can't sit for too long. No, because you have to do your homework. But I have an encouraging message for all of you out there that are going through this right now. Actually, no, I don't. I was trying to think of something, but I got nothing. You just gotta thug it out in school. I'm sorry. There are unwritten rules about school everyone knows, like never poop in the bathroom, or when the teacher looks at you during a test, look up at the ceiling like you're trying to think. But what if I told you there are also unwritten levels of popularity every school has that everyone knows, but nobody talks about? From the kids you went to class with every single day for years without ever learning their name, to the students who were so popular, they basically ran the school more than the principal. The levels of school popularity is an unspoken code that no one talks about, but everyone understands within the very first week of school starting. And it all begins with level 1. The outcasts. Now, I want to be really careful about how I say this because outcast sounds mean, and I'm not trying to be mean, but let me tell you, most of the people at school were very mean to this group. The outcast wasn't a group that was necessarily disliked by everyone. It's more that they fit into a very specific category that people immediately wrote off the second they heard it. Like, there are certain labels in school that the moment someone tells you,
Oh yeah, that's a band kid.
or
Oh, he's a nerd.
your brain just automatically assumes you'll know exactly what their personality is like. The biggest examples are the nerds. These kids were outcasted in school simply for the fact that they were smarter than the rest of us. Sounds pretty dumb once you get out of school, but while you're in it, for some reason, it feels like it makes sense. Instead of hanging out with people after school or playing sports trying to fit in, these kids would just go home and lock in on homework. They were investing in their future. And now, those kids are probably all doctors. Meanwhile, the rest of us who weren't thinking about our future are probably all saying,
Hi, welcome to McDonald's. What can I get you?
for 5 days a week. But outcast wasn't just for people who were smarter than us. Sometimes it was for a totally different reason. Because another type of person that fit into the outcast group was the band kids. Once again, if you heard someone say they were a band kid, you instantly made an assumption about their personality in your head. Now, was it a good assumption or a bad one? Depends on who you ask. But at least at my school, band kids did not have the best reputation. But it wasn't for the typical reason you would think of the band kids smelling or anything like that. No, it was simply because one band kid at our school peed his pants during a performance in front of basically the whole school. And he was wearing khakis, so everyone could see it. And from that point on, the band kids did not have a good reputation. But here's the thing, the outcast group is actually kind of fascinating because they have arguably the highest sense of community of any group on this entire list. Because when you're placed in a box by everyone else, you find the other people that are also in that box and you form a really tight group. You know, now that I think about it, that's probably the same way some really evil groups that have done a lot of harm in the world started too. But we could talk about that another time. Point is, the band kids have each other. The theater kids, who overlap with the band kids in a Venn diagram, also have each other. Now, do I actually know what a Venn diagram looks like? No, but I said it because I wanted to sound smart, so I hope it was accurate. The nerds have their corner of the library and their lunch table and their own inside world that nobody else knows about. But from the outside perspective, the rest of the students at school, these kids are just written off. And that's the defining feature of level 1. It's not that people dislike you, it's that people hear what you're into and they just go,
Oh, okay, I know exactly what he's like.
But here's the hilarious part about all that. You would think it sucks to be in group 1 because of how you're treated. But I would say most of level 1 in high school are thriving way harder than everyone else was after high school. Because it turns out the skills that you got labeled a nerd for will make you money. The skills that you learned from being a theater kid will make you a famous actor. And the skills from being a band kid, to be honest, y'all might just be cooked. I don't know if there's any transferable skills there. But I don't want y'all to feel left out, so just imagine there was. But shout out to all the level 1 popularity kids in school. You guys deserved better, but you're thriving in life in the long term. Now, level 1 is literally the lowest level of popularity you can go, but somehow, I think level 2 would actually be worse to be in. Let me explain. Level 1 kids, the outcasts, they're known. They have a reputation, even if it's a bad one. When I talked about level 1 kids, you probably had someone specific come to your mind. But when I described the level 2 students, no one will come to your mind, because you simply don't know them. And the reason for that is because level 2 is what I call the invisible kids. These kids are ghosts. And no, I'm not saying they got superpowers and are literally invisible, because I know some of y'all will take whatever I say literally and be like,
Tyler, there was no invisible people at high school.
yeah, I'm talking to you, Steamboat432. I see all your comments on my videos. Learn what sarcasm is. I'm sorry. But let me get to the point. The kids in level 2 are simply people that exist. They attend the school, they sit in class, do their homework, eat lunch, but somehow, despite doing all those things in the same building as 500 other people for 4 years, nobody knows who they are. Like, you'll be at a lunch table one day and you'll glance across the cafeteria and there will be a kid sitting alone and you'll think,
Wait, who is that?
and someone will say,
Oh, that's Jake. We've gone to school with him since kindergarten.
and you'll just be thinking, you could have told me that man transferred to this school today and I would have believed you. The invisible kids are not weird. That's the thing. They're not doing anything that would cause people to write them off the way level 1 kids get written off. They're not labeled at all. They're not nerds. They're not band kids. They don't do anything to get noticed. The more I talk about it, this low-key sounds like the most peaceful life ever. They probably don't go through any drama or anything. Just imagine how low their cortisol levels are. But I did say in the beginning of this section that I believe being a part of level 2 can be worse than level 1. And the reason for that is because at least outcasts have a community. The nerd table is a real table with real people who care about each other. The band kids have band and anime or whatever else they like. But the invisible kids, they genuinely might go an entire school date without saying a single word to anybody. Now, I can't speak for these people because this wasn't the level I was a part of. So maybe level 2 people actually preferred it this way. Who knows? But I do have the most funny story about an interaction I had with someone on this level, because I was in class one day and I got put into a random group for a project. I was low-key scared for this because the group I got put into for this project was me and 3 other kids that I literally did not know at all. I didn't know their names, I didn't recognize their face, nothing. So when we got put together, I introduced myself to all of them. I said my name and asked what theirs was. But for every single person I introduced myself to, they all said they already knew my name because we've gone to school with each other for 8 years. I've never felt so bad before, but at least after that day, I did know who they were. But to anyone who is in this level at school, I have a question. What is your high school experience actually like? Because from the outside, it looks lonely. But that's the thing. We can only see it from the outside. Because now that I'm not in school anymore, I low-key am a part of group 2. I don't leave the house much. I don't really talk to anyone during the day. And you know what? I love it that way. So shout out to you guys. Y'all figured out way before us that being a level 2 is the most goated way of living. Unfortunately, we can't all live a goated life though. And that is why most of us have to fit into the next category, which is level 3, the average student. I need everyone to pay very close attention to this level because most of us were in it. And when I say us, yes, I mean me and you, twin. We were level 3ers. You can deny it all you want, saying that you were higher than this, but let's be honest, that's not possible. Because here's what most people will do. They'll hear me describe level 3, they'll recognize it completely, and then they'll convince themselves,
Okay, well, that's not me. I was at least a level 4.
well, brother or sister, let me put my hand on your shoulder and say, level 3 is you. It's definitely you. Because level 3 is exactly what it sounds like. You have friends, but not a lot of them. You're not a loner. You're not navigating the hallways in complete social isolation. You have people you sit with at lunch, but those friends are probably also in level 3. You're not connected to the popular kids in any meaningful way. You're not getting invited to the parties, not because you're disliked, just because you're not quite a part of that group. Do they play sports? Maybe, but they're probably not the star player on the team. Academically, you might be all right. You're not failing any classes, but you're also not winning valedictorian like I did. Okay, that's a lie. Now, I think level 3 can either be the best level to be a part of or the worst, because level 3 students are never targets. The bullies don't care about you because they're more focused on level 1. You'll probably never be miserable in school because no one is spreading rumors about you or involving you in drama. That sounds really nice, right? But when you're in school, for some reason, you crave drama. So you're kind of sad that you're not a part of all that. But if you aren't sure whether this was your level, I have a way that will confirm whether you were in it or not. When you think back to all the years you've been in school, are most of your memories about the people you were close with or about the broader school in general? You remember conversations at that one lunch table. You remember the inside jokes with your 2 best friends, but you probably don't have a lot of memories that involve half the grade, right? Because that's how my experience was. Low-key, now that I'm looking back at high school, I had no motion, dog. No wonder I never had a girlfriend. But anyways, you may ask,
Tyler, where's the personal story about level 3 like you've given for all the other levels?
I don't have one because us level 3s don't have anything crazy to talk about. But I definitely got some stories for level 4, which is where things start to get interesting. Level 4 is what I call the group member. This is where you actually start to get some motion in school. If you're in level 4, your social identity starts to be defined primarily by what group or team you're a part of rather than you as an individual. At level 4, people outside of just your level start to become aware of you. And that's mainly because of who you hang out with. You might be just inside the popular kids group. If there's a big party happening, congratulations, buddy. You might be getting the invite. Now, I don't want to gas up level 4 too much because while you are involved in all these things, you're just barely a part of it. So say you're a level 4 person that is a part of the popular kids group and they're having a sleepover. Odds are you're not getting invited to that. That's right, twin. Me and you are not getting invited. You're just not close enough yet to be in that level. But if there's a bigger event going on that's less intimate, that's where you shine. There's definitely group chats your friend group has without you because while you're a part of the friend group, you're not in the core part. If you don't really understand this level yet, think about it this way. You remember the TikTok Riz party? Which I can't believe I'm talking about as a grown man, but it will make sense. Just bear with me. Anyways, the TikTok Riz party had 3 main people. The group leader, Quandale Dingle, and White Shirt Kid. Now, it is very obvious from the video at the party that Quandale Dingle is the definition of a level 4 person. He's at the party, so he's cool with everyone. But if you see the way he looks around, you can tell he's just trying to fit in. He doesn't know exactly if he belongs yet. That's what being a level 4 student means. So this also means level 4 is a really stressful place to be. You're fighting to get higher up in the group to get invited to the more exclusive hangout sessions, but you're also at a point where they could just easily boo you out of the group at any moment because they feel like it. The athlete version of this is interesting because athlete group members have a very specific experience. Like the football team in most schools is all popular kids. The team itself don't even gotta be good. If you're on the varsity football team, you basically have a free ride to being level 4 at the very least. I used to think I was level 4 when I was actually in school, and it wasn't until I got out that I started to realize I definitely wasn't. I was just living in delusion. The reason I thought I was a group member at the time is because I was cool with a lot of the kids in these groups. Football players I was friends with, most popular kids in school. They all knew my name, but as I start to think about it, I never got invited to a single event or hangout or sleepover that these groups had. To all of them, I was just that guy that you're cool with at school, but the moment you graduate, you never see him again. One hot take I have about level 4 is that it's by far the most stressful level to be in because you could so easily switch down to a level 3 or up to a level 5. Now, it's going to be really hard for me to move on to the next level, mostly because I can't count past 4, but still, I'm going to try. So now we got level 5, the niche popular. If I could go back to school, well, I mean, technically I could because I never finished, but if I could go back to school and choose which level of popular to be, I would easily choose level 5. If you are at this level, most of the school knows you. Not just within your friend group, but across the whole school. If you walked into a classroom in a hallway that you've never been to, there's a pretty good chance that some random kid in the classroom knows who you are. Everything is elevated at this level. You're definitely either on a sports team or hang out with all the popular kids. But the difference here is that you're not fighting for your life just to be a part of these groups. You can joke with them without risking saying the wrong thing, getting someone mad, then getting booted out of the group. But this group is different from others because you can be a part of it without having to be on a sports team or be with the popular kids. You can be at this level simply for just who you are. Like there was a kid at my school who they called the freshman flyer, and that's because one day he jumped off the top of the roof at school onto the ground. What was he trying to accomplish? Nothing. He did break his back though. But what I'm getting at with this is that he instantly became level 5 of popularity because obviously when someone jumps off a school building, you're gonna hear about it. So basically everyone knew his name. By the way, I don't recommend trying that. This didn't mean he started hanging out with all the popular kids. He still went about his day like normal. In a back brace, sure, but everyone at the school knew his name now. Another example of someone who could be level 5 of popularity is the school plug. And I don't think I need to explain what that means, but let's just say you're the person who can get things that other people need, like M&Ms, and people are always happy to see you. Obviously, in an ideal world, everyone would love to be in the highest possible level of popularity. But here's the problem with getting too much higher than level 5. The higher you go, the more your popularity stops being about people liking you and becomes more about people either being jealous of you or wanting to use you for social gain. At a certain point, and we'll get into exactly where that point is, the popularity stops being warm and starts being complicated. This is the weird part though, because I was definitely at different levels throughout all my years at school. Yeah, I know I said I was in level 3, but that was for most of school because there was a time where I, Tyler Vitelli, was in level 5. And let me tell you, it was amazing. For both years of middle school, I was the new kid. There were so many kids I had never met before who went here, and that made people interested in me. So instantly, I became kind of popular. And let me tell you, the perks of being level 5 were the best. I was getting invited to everything. Like this was the first time I ever went to a party and one of the last because I realized I didn't like them. But everyone was friendly to me and there was literally nothing for me to complain about. You know what the best part of level 5 was though? You're mostly immune to the drama. You're popular enough to be respected, but not hated or envied enough to the point where people want to make up rumors about you. Unfortunately, I suffered from this one time because my school made a rumor about me that I wore a thong to class. Obviously, this was entirely made up, okay? It was a Speedo. And although you're not involved in the drama, you know all of it. You're close enough to be told any secrets that most people at school wouldn't know. If you ever have the chance to switch your level of popularity at school, I would recommend trying to get here and then stay there. Because if you dare to go up to level 6, things start to get tricky. Now let's just be real for a second, guys. 99% of us can sit this one out. Yes, me and you, we're all way too chopped to be a part of level 6, unfortunately. Because there are some specific requirements everyone in level 6 has to have. And one of those requirements is to be very good looking. If you're not, you got no chance, I'm sorry. And I learned that the hard way. This is why level 6 is the school celebrity. And when I say celebrity, I mean it. These kids are famous within the school. Not just known, like everyone at level 5 is known, but these kids are famous in the sense that their name gets mentioned in conversations they're not even a part of. They're always being talked about. Level 6 is almost always reached through one of two things. Either being super athletic or being extremely attractive. Being conventionally attractive in high school is genuinely a superpower. Matter of fact, being handsome in life in general is a superpower. And trust me, I would know. Can't wait to see what the comments say about that part. But whether we like it or not, it's the truth. The good-looking students get treated differently. They get more patience from the teachers, more invitations, more attention. People they don't know smile at them in public. This is why when people ask the question, would you rather be super good-looking but really dumb or really smart but ugly? The answer is always obvious to me. I mean, I'm already really handsome, so I don't really gotta worry about that question though. And the elite athlete version of being in level 6 is similar. If you're the starting quarterback on a football team or a starting player on a basketball team, you are level 6 almost by default. The thing about being a school celebrity is that everyone wants to be around you. And that sounds great on paper. Who wouldn't want to be popular? Who wouldn't love people always wanting to sit with you and talk to you and invite you places? The problem is you very quickly start to lose track of who actually likes you versus who hates you. Because the people who hate you will act the nicest to you. But trust me, they are wishing on your downfall. As bad as it sounds, it's true. I would trust my friend way more that calls me chopped all the time than the one that's gassing me up. Because at level 6, your friendship is currency. People literally gain something from being your friend. My first year of high school, there was a guy who was definitely level 6, and I still don't know why, but for some reason, he just really liked me. He was a junior, so he had a car, and he would always drive me to get food and things like that. Now, the only problem was this man was crazy. Like literally crazy in ways I'm scared to elaborate. But because of that, I was always nervous to be around him. But hanging out with him gave me so much social credit with the rest of school that I would still hang out with him even though it kind of terrified me. If you get put in this same scenario and have an opportunity to be friends with someone in level 6, be careful. They're probably crazy because if they were normal, they'd be in level 3 with the rest of us. If you're still not really sure how to identify what a level 6 person is, just watch basically any Hollywood movie about high schoolers. Level 6ers are usually all the side characters. But just like every movie, there's side characters and then there's a main character. And without a doubt, the main character of every high school movie is level 7, the legend. Level 7 is different, not gonna lie. Just from me saying that level out loud, I almost started levitating out of my chair, which isn't really that unusual because that's just something I can naturally do. Similar to how I can also make people poop on command. Don't believe me? Did you just poop your pants? Most of you probably didn't, but I'm sure at least one person out there watching got the urge to poop. Where was I though? Level 7 is its own category entirely. And I genuinely think if you ever went to school with one of these people, you know exactly who I'm talking about. You're already picturing a face right now. The first thing you need to understand about the legend is that there are very few of them. Like we're talking maybe 2 or 3 people per school. And at some schools, maybe just 1. Not everyone even goes to school with a level 7. But if you did, you know. It sounds like I'm talking about a rare Pokemon, but it low-key was like that though, because the legend is what happens when you take everything I just said about the level 6 school celebrity and multiply it by 10. The level 6 person is famous within the school. The level 7 person is the school. Their reputation doesn't live at the school. Their reputation is the school's reputation. Like, if you went to a different school and someone asked you where you go, there is a very real chance the first thing out of your mouth would be this person's name.
Where you go to school?
Oh, I go to Ligma High. Wait, Ligma High? Isn't that where Marcus goes?
Yeah.
The level 7 person has more actual power in the building than most of the adults. I know that sounds insane, but they run the place. Now you may ask,
Tyler, how do I get into level 7?
and buddy, if you're asking this question, let me just tell you, you're already too late. You have no chance, unfortunately. Because being level 7 is just something you're born with. Whether that be because you were blessed with the most athletic genes on the planet or the most attractive genes on the planet. No, once again, editor, I'm not talking about gene pants. I'm talking about genetics. Bro is just mad he wasn't born with good genes. All right, do you want to get fired again? Genuinely, it's like this is your fetish. You love getting fired. So you know what? Let me grant your wish. You're fired. I could do this job myself. The legend is almost always the best athlete the school has had in a generation. They're going to a huge college everyone knows, or they're going to New York after college to be a model because of how attractive they are. There's something about them that's just different. You can feel it when they walk into a room. People love to overuse the word aura, but if you actually want to know what aura is, it's a level 7. But level 7 isn't all sunshine and rainbows. It's easy to just describe them as this mythical figure that everyone wants to be and just leave it there. But the reality is, it's more complicated. First is because everyone knows you at school, so everyone has an opinion on you. Some are probably good, but most are likely very jealous. I mean, think about it. It's a bunch of teenagers. Of course they're gonna be jealous of the coolest kid at school. I sure know I was. And if someone is jealous of you, they may do things to try to put you down, which means there will always be rumors about you, no matter whether they're true or not. The legend is the person throwing parties, not attending them. They don't wait for an invitation. They create the events that other people are begging to be invited to. Their family is probably rich. You know, the more and more I think about school popularity, it's all my parents' fault I wasn't this high of a level. If they just blessed me with amazing athletic and attractive genetics and they were rich, I could have been level 7. The legend also has a very interesting relationship with the teachers because even they know how popular this person is. Now, depending on which teacher it is, they might start flirting with the level 7 student, which definitely ain't right. But let's be real, we've all had some teachers before that, well, they probably shouldn't be allowed within 500 feet of a school if we're being honest. Because of this, the level 7 student can basically do whatever they want in class and still pass. They don't have to actually go and learn because the teacher will give them a good grade either way. They're chilling. But if you somehow become a friend with the level 7, brother, you are set for the rest of school. Just by association, your life has gotten 10 times easier. I know, this sounds amazing, but unfortunately, for most of us, this is just a dream because at the end of the day, we are chopped. Yes, me and you. We are all chopped. Matter of fact, that's what I'm gonna call my fan base. Chopped FC. Yeah, we are Chopped FC. Every class you enter, they'll be there. Every school dance, they'll be there. Every time you go to the school bathroom, they'll be there. Who am I talking about? The different types of kids that every school had. And when I say every school, I mean every school. So let's go over them. First up, we got the teachers' pets. Teachers' pets were the kids who acted like the school building was their spawn point. These were the kids who walked into class 5 minutes before the bell rang like they would get 20 years in prison if they didn't. And that's not even an exaggeration, because I had one class with a kid that always got there before me. But I never knew just how much earlier he got there until one day I go to school 30 minutes early because I needed to take a test that I missed from being sick. And guess who the only person in the classroom is when I walk in? You guessed it. The teacher's pet. After this, I started to wonder if he ever left that place at all. I even looked at his legs to see if he had one of those ankle monitors cops make you wear when you're on house arrest. But instead of not being allowed to leave the house, he was forced to not leave the school. Teachers' pets were the kids who, even when no one else would raise their hand to answer a question, they still would. And it wasn't even because they were geniuses or anything. They were just trying to glaze the teacher. Like when I was in chemistry class, no one ever raised their hand because chemistry is basically as hard as rocket science. And I don't even know what rocket science is. I just always hear people say it's hard, so I did too. But anyways, there was one kid in that class that would always raise his hand. So the teacher would be forced to choose him, he'd answer the question, and half the time, it wouldn't even be right.
Okay, guys, what is the chemical symbol for the element gold?
Oh, I know.
Yes, Andrew, again.
The answer is 4.
I hate this class.
The teacher even got so tired of him being the only person that ever raised their hand that she banned him from answering questions like halfway through the year. And I didn't dislike teachers' pets or anything. They're just trying to get a good grade in the class. I respect it. But the one thing they would do that I absolutely despised was when they would remind the teacher about assigning homework. The clock would be ticking, 30 seconds left of class, and the teacher hasn't brought up homework once. It's gonna happen. You're gonna get out of class without her remembering to give you any work. But then Andrew would just raise his hand and go,
Miss Nelson, you haven't given us the homework for today yet.
and the whole class would just turn and stare at him like he committed a felony. Because why would you remind the teacher about that? What do you gain? There's no prize for this. You don't get a medal. You just get 30 people staring at you, hoping that you step on a Lego. And substitute days turn teachers' pets into temporary principals. The substitute would walk in and be like, okay, class, so your teacher left me some instructions for today. And the teacher's pet is already standing up in the front of class like,
Hi, yes, I'll take it from here.
they'd be whispering all the secrets to the sub like,
You know, Mr. Michaels usually doesn't let us go on our phones like this.
and then the teacher's pet would turn around and hit the class with,
Guys, the teacher told us to be quiet.
like, who are you? You ain't the president. Sit down. But the most funny thing about teachers' pets is that, at least in my experience, the teacher didn't even like them. Like, they also found them annoying. Yeah, it was cool at first, but no one wants to be glazed that much. You just start to ignore it at a certain point. That's why, honestly, I usually just reply to my hate comments rather than the ones that are saying nice things to me. And trust me, there's a lot more negative comments than there are positive ones. Like a lot. Seriously. I mean, my parents ask me sometimes if I'm okay because they see me getting bullied in the comment section so often. So please, stop. Anyways, the next group of students we have are the dumb kids. And I don't even know if these kids were dumb because of low IQ levels or if they just really did not care about school. I think it was a mix of both. But one person I went to school with was definitely the first option. And I'm not being mean because this person was my friend and he's still my friend to this day, so I can roast him. We'll call him Patrick during this video because his actions remind me of something Patrick Star would do. But anyways, Patrick was somehow so lost during class that he would literally make the teacher rage quit. Like one time, we had a test that was timed. We only had 5 minutes to do it. And once the timer was up, you had to drop your pencils and turn in the test. So the teacher says to begin, and everyone is sweating, trying to finish before running out of time. And right when that timer beeps, the teacher says to drop our pencils. But then Patrick raises his hand. So the teacher goes, yes, Patrick? And he says,
When do we start the test?
he literally left the teacher speechless. Like, she did not know how to respond. And while having a class with Patrick was awesome because it was so funny to watch him interact in class, it was also terrifying because whenever we had group projects, he would always want to work with me. And if you've ever been in a group project with someone like Patrick, you know it's a nightmare. Doing group projects with someone like Patrick is like trying to play duos in Fortnite, except your teammate is using their feet to play instead of their hands. You know you're gonna have to carry them. When we had a group project together, I tried giving Patrick the easiest job possible. I literally just told him, Patrick, find good pictures to put on all of our slides. That's it. And somehow I'd open the Google Slides later and our presentation about Abraham Lincoln would have this photo on the front page. One time, I asked Patrick if he could change the font on the whole project to Times New Roman, and he responded by asking me if that was a superhero. And then when we had to present this project, you know he didn't memorize any of his lines, so we're just standing up there in front of the whole class, and Patrick literally just turns directly toward the projector, away from everyone, to read what I put on the slides. The craziest thing about the Patricks in every school is they always finish tests first. Like always, which is terrifying, because when you're taking a test and you see someone finish before you even wrote your name down, you start sweating a little bit. I didn't even realize why all the dumb kids turned in their tests so early until Patrick told me. Because I said to him, hey Patrick, how do you always finish your tests so quickly? And he just goes,
Oh, well, I just decide whether to pick A, B, C, or D based off which one I feel the most spiritually connected to.
whatever the heck that means. So they weren't turning in their tests quickly because it was easy. No, they just didn't care. But the most confusing part, they'd still somehow pass the class. Always. You'd see the grades they get on all the tests and think, no way they make it through this. But then somehow, on the last day, they're getting a 38% in the class rounded up to a C-. Like, what deal did you make with the teacher? Do you have secret proof they're cheating on their wife? Because that's the only plausible explanation. Patrick would also make my teacher laugh sometimes too, though. Like, we were talking about the mitochondria one time in class, and he went, is that a country? And the teacher tried to not smile, but she couldn't hold it in. No one could. It was too funny not to laugh because you could tell he was being serious. But one group of kids who the teachers loved was the popular kids. Popular kids were the royalty of school. They walked through the hallway like it was a red carpet, and the rest of us were just background NPCs. And they always walked in a group. It almost felt like the Zoolander movie every time they'd walk by. They'd show up to first period looking like they're heading to the Met Gala right after class. Hair done, outfit coordinated, shoes are all clean. Meanwhile, I'm wearing the hoodie I slept in and my hair looks like I just survived a tornado. This one is a weird subject to talk about for me because in school, I was always more of the quiet one. But in middle school, my friends were a part of the popular group. So by association, I was kind of in it too. But then when high school came around and I transferred to a school where I didn't know anyone, that popularity went straight out the window. So now I got to see the popular kids from everyone else's perspective. I was scared of the popular kids when I got to high school because you guys have all seen the movies. The popular kids are the ones that run the school. And the place where this was really obvious was lunch. Lunch was basically the popular kids' kingdom. They had the table. You know what I'm talking about. The one table everybody knows not to sit at unless you're invited. It's like a VIP section at a club, but with peanut butter and jelly sandwiches instead of bottle service. Now, of course, everyone that wasn't a part of the popular group hated them. But at the same time, they wanted to be them. So we would all be super nice to the popular kids, especially because this was the group of people that always threw the school parties. And finding out you were invited to this school party was like getting invited to the World Cup final. One time, I got invited to one of these parties and I was super excited to go after watching Project X, thinking it would be exactly like that. But then when I got there, I remembered how socially awkward I am and I just ended up standing in the corner the whole time, checking the weather in Cupertino. But if you're in school right now and thinking, man, I wish I was a part of the popular kid group, just know it literally means nothing. The moment you finish school and look back on it, you'll laugh wondering why you cared so much about being popular in the first place. Because you want to know what the most popular kid at my old school is doing right now? He's a car salesman. I mean, I'm making Diddy jokes on the internet for a living, so I don't think I can really speak either. But you get my point. Moving on. Next, we have the kid who, anytime there was a school lockdown, you immediately looked over to check if they were at their desk. You know what I mean. I'm not gonna elaborate any further. All I gotta say is, make sure you're nice to this kid. And then, we had the class clowns, who are either the funniest people you've ever met, or the most painful human beings to be with in an enclosed space. There was no in between. The class clowns who were actually funny? Legends. These were the kids who could say one sentence under their breath, and the entire class would lose it. Never tried too hard, always had perfect comedic timing, and they knew exactly when to stop. They could roast the teacher without getting in trouble, make the dumbest situation funny, and somehow never cross the line. But then there were the other class clowns. The ones who thought being loud was the same as being funny. These kids would interrupt the class for no reason, repeat the same joke over and over again until it died. They'd say something, nobody laughs, and instead of stopping, they would just double down on it. Like, let me reenact an actual scenario that happened in my class one time. Okay, Steven, what's the answer to this math problem?
14?
No, that's incorrect.
What? This is why math is racist. I said, this is why math is racist.
We heard you the first time! So if you're in school and you think you're the class clown, be very careful in making sure that you're the one everyone likes, not the one that overdoes it. And if you're not sure whether you're the actual funny one or not, I have some bad news for you. And I know I'm giving the unfunny class clowns a bad rap, but you know who else got a bad rap that didn't deserve it? Band kids. Band kids were easy to spot because they were always carrying a briefcase that looked like it contained an RPG. You'd see them walking down the hallway, hunched over, struggling, holding an instrument case bigger than their body. Trumpets, trombones, anything else that starts with a T, you name it. But band kids had a bad reputation. People would always say they smell, they're a little awkward, and overall, just kind of unlike the rest of the students. And I think that was why band kids only seemed to hang out with other band kids. And sure, sometimes these stereotypes were true, but most of the time, the band kids were actually pretty cool. They were just a little different. If you think I'm lying, actually try talking to one for once, and you'll see what I mean. Most of them are chill, funny, normal people once you start talking to them. Except for this one band kid at my school, because let's just say, this guy also fit into the category I mentioned right before class clowns. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about. But the biggest reason that band kids didn't deserve this label of being weird is that band was actually pretty dope. You never saw what they were spending hours after school working on until the football game came around Friday night and they're playing Mask Off by Future. So start giving the band kids more respect. They're talented. But you know a group of students I absolutely just despised? Like, these people really grinded my gears, and honestly, I wish the school would get rid of them. I'm talking about the students who thought they were influencers. Who would ever try to be an influencer? Like, that's so embarrassing. Get a real job. No, I'm kidding, obviously. That's the career I ended up going down. Still have no idea how I got here, but when I was in school, I was not a part of this group. I had no idea I was gonna be an influencer when I was in school. At this time, I still thought I was gonna be the next LeBron, but it turns out the only thing me and him have in common is our love for Taco Tuesday. I never even realized how delusional I was to think that I could be in the NBA until I rewatched my old high school highlights the other day and I looked like this. So when I talk about students who tried being influencers, I'm not talking about myself, but also no judgment. I just thought this specific group of people was funny in school. A lot of the times, the popular kids and the influencers were the same people. Like there was these two girls I went to school with who, once again, no judgment, but they would go live on Instagram every day. And every time I would pop in to check it, there would be maybe 2, 3 viewers, which there's nothing wrong with. But the part that makes it funny is when they'd come to school the next day and they would literally be like,
Yeah, a bunch of people are asking us to do more lives. We're basically influencers now. We have like a really big fan base.
now I don't know if these girls were just schizophrenic and imagining things, and if so, I apologize, or maybe those 2 people that were always in their lives just really loved the content. But the way they explained it was in a bragging way. Always like they were better than everyone else because they were influencers. So to those girls out there, you want to know what a real influencer looks like? Peep my page. This is how you make content, girl. Just kidding, I have no idea what I'm doing either. But these girls weren't even the reason I thought about adding this section to the video. The real kids who made me remember that every school has people who want to be influencers was this group of 3 girls that ruined my junior year of high school. What happened? Well, it wasn't actually their fault, but there was this group of 3 girls at my school that would always do TikTok dances together. And they always recorded their videos in the exact same hallway right next to the staircase. And one day, I leave in the middle of class because I have to go to the bathroom. And that's exactly what I did. I go to the bathroom, do my business, and head back to class. So what does this have to do with the 3 influencer girls? Well, the next day, everyone's coming up to me with a big grin on their face going, "Have you seen the video of you that went viral?" And I'm like, "No, what video? Oh, what do you mean?" So someone shows it to me, and the video is these 3 girls in the same spot as always doing their TikTok dance, but in the background, you see me walking to the bathroom. And that wouldn't seem to really be an issue, except for the fact that in the video, my posture is really bad. I'm literally walking like this.
Up, back, and down, difference that makes.
So all the comments on the video are just cooking me like, "Who is bro in the back? Someone get homie a chiropractor. Why does the guy in the back have the posture of Dr. Doofenshmirtz?" And that was the very first time I went viral on the internet. No one online knew that was me, but everyone at school did. Since then, I've promised myself I would fix my posture. That always just ended in me trying for 2 days and then giving up after. I respect the wannabe influencers though. They were brave to post knowing that everyone in school would see it. The only reason I ever started posting content was because I finally graduated high school, which meant I wouldn't have to worry about posting an embarrassing video, it absolutely flopping, and then showing up to school the next day knowing everyone saw it. The next group of people you're gonna encounter at school, I want you to stay far away from, okay? I'm serious. You have to promise me you will stay far away from them because I'm talking about the super seniors. These were the kids who had been in high school for so long that their freshman yearbook picture was in black and white. You show up to geometry class and on your right, you have Timmy who looks like a typical 9th grader. 5'2", hasn't hit his growth spurt yet and still has a squeaky voice. But then you look over to your left and see
Derek.
Now even though
Derek.
and Timmy were in the same class, they look nothing alike. Because you would see
Derek.
and immediately think, why do you have more facial hair than my dad? I'm talking full beard, receding hairline. This man's probably going home to feed his family of 4 after this. And yet here they are, still walking the same hallways as freshmen. Why were they still here instead of college or the coal mines? The world may never know. And listen, if you're a super senior, fine. Okay, maybe you're just not that great at school. That's okay. Everyone has struggles in their life. I won't judge you for not finishing high school yet, but the one thing I will judge you for is still trying to flirt with the girls. You cannot be doing that at your grown age. Flirting with someone in the same grade as you doesn't seem like a problem at all. Until you realize you've been in the same grade for 3 years. Go riz up a job application or something, man. These super seniors were sneaky. They knew how to get away with anything, but they still weren't as sneaky as the school dealer. Everyone had one of these. They were the youngest entrepreneur at school. They would sell literally anything out of their backpack. You needed food, drinks, gum, talkies, chargers, homework assignments, literally anything you could want during the school day, they had it. But it wasn't gonna be cheap. These kids were charging like they owned an Erewhon store. They didn't even go to school to learn. They went to do business. Inside their lockers and backpacks, it looked like one of those convenience trucks you see in New York City. And they always had to keep their business low key so they didn't get caught. Because for some reason, it was against school policy. The school just hates to see a young kid getting his bag, let's be real. And actually, I was a victim of this one time. Because in middle school, I really wanted to get a PlayStation. Now, of course, the problem was I only had about $14 and a McDonald's gift card to my name. So I couldn't afford it, and my parents refused to buy me one because they wanted me to like go outside or something. I know, stupid. But since you can't get a job at 12 years old, well, at least not legally, the best thing I could think of to make money was start selling candy at school. I would have my mom take me to Costco and buy 24 packs of candy. I'm talking M&Ms, Snickers, Skittles, you name it. I had all the best candies. These candies cost about $1 each, and I would sell them for $3. So all I had to do was sell 200 pieces of candy, and I would be able to afford the PlayStation. Sounds easy enough. Well, no, unfortunately, it wasn't. And the reason why it wasn't easy is something I know you all are gonna cook me for. I shouldn't even share it, but The reason it was so hard to make that money is because I would just eat all the candy myself. But don't judge me, because listen to this first. I would literally bring about 50 pieces of the best candy to school every day, and I would probably end up selling about 15 to 20 of them. But I would also eat 3 or 4 of them myself. So I was losing money and getting fat. After about a week of doing this, I realized if I wanted that PlayStation, I needed to lock in. So I stopped eating my own product and I started making some pretty good money. But then one day, I get pulled out of class randomly, get told to go to the office, and when I get there, the vice principal breaks the news to me that she knows about my illegal operation. She was saying I gotta stop right now, and she knows I keep the candy in my locker, so by tomorrow, she was gonna check, and it better not be there anymore. She was treating me like the cartel moving around product, except when I say product, I'm literally just talking about Kit Kats. Still don't see what's so dangerous about that. Sorry, I was trying to give the students a better option than that slimy chocolate milk. So not only was I sad, but all my clients were heartbroken too. Here's some honorable mentions of people that every school has, but I didn't think was worth making a full segment for. The girl who eats hot Cheetos first period and wears pajamas to school with a slick back bun. For some reason, every school has this exact person. And they do this every single morning. No days off. They got red fingers by 8 a.m. I sat next to a hot Cheetos girl one time and it would literally almost make me gag because the thought of eating hot Cheetos was just not appetizing to me at that time. So please, to all the hot Cheeto girls out there, I'm speaking for your stomach right now when I say, have an omelet for breakfast or something, because it cannot be good to set your insides on fire first thing in the morning. And then we got the NPCs, the background characters, the kids you've seen every single day for years but have never spoken to once. You don't know their name, you don't know their voice, you're not even sure what grade they're in. They just appear in the hallway, sit quietly in class, and disappear the second the bell rings. For all you know, these people aren't even actually conscious, and the school just spawned them in to fill up all the classrooms. The NPCs are especially funny when you have a class with the same one over and over again, yet you still don't know who they are. Then there are the goth kids. All black outfits, chains, dark makeup, looking like they just got out of a funeral. At first, you think they're scary, like they might cast a spell on you or something. But if you actually talk to them, they're usually the coolest people you've ever met. They just happen to be interested in something that makes your appearance look like you just switched your whole closet to dark mode. And finally, we got the foreign exchange students. Instantly popular for no reason other than people think it's cool that they're not from the same place as everyone else. Half the time, no one knows what they're saying, but that's part of what makes them so lovable. They could literally go, McDonald's, and everyone's just like, yeah, McDonald's. And vice versa, they usually have no idea what we're saying. I went to school with a foreign exchange student from South Korea, and even though we could barely understand each other, we were homies. But all our conversations would go exactly like this. Hey Jongwoo, how you doing? Oh, yeah, nice. Teachers love them, students love them. They became friends with everyone without even trying. Every school has all of these people I mentioned, even yours. Maybe in different fonts, but your school definitely had it. During school, we faced a lot of challenges, whether that be going into the bathroom and seeing a full concert happening, or being put in a school project with someone that you know isn't gonna do any work, or even having to navigate through the couples making out with each other in the hallways. It doesn't matter if you went to school in the hood, if you went to private school, or even Hogwarts. We've all experienced the things I'm about to talk about. Starting off with school fights. School fights are the only event that can make the entire student body teleport to one location in under 30 seconds. I don't care if you're in the bathroom, in the library, if you didn't even show up to school that day because you were sick. The second someone yells, there's a fight happening, everyone pulls up. But it always starts with the rumor. Someone goes, yo, I heard Marcus and Jaden are fighting behind the gym after school. And suddenly, that information spreads faster than you can say the word Diddy. Within 10 minutes, the entire school knows. Kids are texting each other the location like it's a secret concert. The crowd starts forming like a nature documentary. One kid sees the fight starting, pulls out their phone, and suddenly 200 other people appear out of thin air. Where were they? How did they get here so fast? Nobody knows. But here's the thing about school fights. 90% of them are just two people aggressively hugging each other. That's it. Everyone's screaming like this is a UFC pay-per-view event, but really, it's just two dudes grabbing each other's shirts and shuffling in a circle going, bro, let go! You let go first! Nobody's actually throwing hands. Nobody's doing anything. They're always just holding each other aggressively. Very rarely does someone actually land a clean punch. But when that does happen, the crowd absolutely loses it. People are screaming. But the best part is how the story will get retold afterwards. Because by lunch the next day, the fight has already been completely exaggerated beyond recognition. Bro, I heard Marcus picked Jaden up and slammed him through a desk. Really? Because I heard Jaden did a 360 kick into Marcus's forehead. I heard Marcus lost his pinky toe. Some people are saying Jaden's legally blind after that fight. In reality, the actual fight lasted 8 seconds, nobody fell down, and the most dramatic thing that happened was someone's shirt got stretched out. But facts don't matter when you're retelling a legendary story. No. And you may be thinking, how can people lie about these fights when literally everyone was recording them? Well, somehow, even though 100 people are filming it, not a single person is ever able to get a good video. It's like everyone recording it was looking like this person from behind the camera. But the one thing you do not want to happen is getting pulled into the fight yourself. Because I remember one time, a fight was scheduled to happen at my school, and I was front row to see it. I barely even knew the two kids who were fighting, but because all the students wanted to see a good show, someone yelled out loud, "Hey, I heard Tyler has a crush on your girl," to one of the guys fighting. Oh, whoever Tyler is, he's cooked. Wait, I'm Tyler. So now the dude fighting comes up to me and wants to fight me, but I didn't want the smoke. I'm never gonna be the one to fight. I promise you will never catch me in one of those YouTuber boxing events, unless it's against young Sheldon. So without saying anything, I just picked my backpack up, turned around, and left. I didn't care what names they called me. I was getting out of there. Then you got the teacher's intervention. That one teacher who always tries to break up the fight. This will go one of two ways. Either the teacher is successful and separates the kids from each other, or they step in at the wrong moment and catch a right hook to the face. But the second the teacher shows up, the crowd scatters like roaches when you turn the lights on. Everyone acts like they weren't just recording the fight 10 seconds ago. Fight? What fight? I was in the school bathroom. Speaking of that, school bathrooms are a different dimension where the normal rules of society just don't apply and literally anything can happen. I'm convinced there's a portal in there to an alternate universe because the things I've witnessed inside school bathrooms have changed me as a person, all for the worse. But before you can even go into the bathroom, you gotta get some freaky hall pass from your teacher. So you raise your hand and go, "Can I use the restroom?" And the teacher looks at you like you just asked for their kidney. You sure you can't wait till after class? Do you want to find out? So she finally lets you go. But before you step out of that classroom, she says, "Wait, take this." And she basically hands you a custom pickaxe from Fortnite. Ah, perfect. This is gonna be so easy to carry while I'm trying to pee. Thanks, teacher. So you finally get the pass, but then you open the bathroom door and it's just, I don't even know what the right word is. It can be literally anything in there at all times. Like one time I walked in and it felt like I just stepped into Snoop Dogg's tour bus because it was filled with smoke and I could barely see. Kids were vaping in there like it was a competitive sport and it smelled like how I imagined the Powerpuff Girls house would, with a hint of strawberries and mango. But the vaping isn't even the craziest part. The craziest part is the unspoken rules that everyone follows. Like the fact that if there's 5 urinals, only 3 of them are really available. If you try using those other 2, you are a sick, sick individual. And there's nothing more scary than the gap underneath the stall door because it just makes you paranoid that someone's gonna look under, or even worse, look through the crack down the middle, all while you're taking a dookie. One of the most tragic parts of school bathrooms is how often your teacher won't let you use it. Some schools are out here treating bathroom passes like limited. Like I had a class where we only got 3 bathroom passes per semester. Okay, that's cool. So what happens when I run out then? What's the plan there? You want me to just hold my pee for the next 4 months? Hey, Mrs. Smith, can I go to the bathroom?
No, you already used all your bathroom passes this semester. You have to wait.
Mrs. Smith, I mean no offense when I say this, but I will literally pee on the ground right now if you don't let me go. Like if you take more than 30 seconds in there, the teacher will literally ask,
What took so long in there?
maybe it's the fact that I had chili last night and I just had to leave an atomic bomb in the toilet. You think I took forever because I was walking around the rest of school, when in reality, I was fighting for my life in there. But that's the most terrifying part of the school restrooms, when you actually have to use it for its intended purposes. That's right. I'm talking about using the bathroom to go number 2. There is nothing that can prepare you for this moment. You ate something that gave you the runs last night, so even though you really didn't want to, you're forced to go poop in the school bathroom. Once the coast is clear, you run into one of the stalls, preferably the handicap one because there's more space, and try to be as quiet as possible. And then the inevitable happens. Someone walks in and you put your feet up so they don't get a chance to see your shoes from underneath the stall. And you're trying to finish as quickly as possible because no one should ever have to suffer from pooing in a school bathroom. But it takes forever because the toilet paper in there is more thin than Vecna in the last season of Stranger Things. It's truly a traumatic experience. But I don't know what's more traumatic, school bathrooms or group projects. Group projects might be the most stressful part of school. I'm convinced teachers assign these just to watch us suffer. The second a teacher announces a group project, you can feel the stress levels in the room spike. Everyone's doing mental calculations. Who do I work with? Who's actually gonna do work if we're in a group together? Who's gonna ruin my GPA? It's like the Hunger Games, except instead of fighting to the death, we're fighting for a decent grade. There are 2 ways group projects can happen, and both of them are terrible. Scenario 1, the teacher lets you pick your groups. This is terrible because it just turns into a social hierarchy nightmare. The popular kids immediately form a super group while everyone else is scrambling. And if you don't have friends in that class, you're cooked, buddy. You're standing there like a kid who didn't get picked in dodgeball, except this affects your future. Scenario 2, the teacher assigns your group. When this happens, you just gotta pray. There's no other option because you absolutely know that you're gonna get paired with the kid who hasn't turned in an assignment since World War I. The same kid who thinks the mitochondria is a type of pasta. The same kid who's probably not even aware this class exists. And that's exactly what happened to me. So I got assigned to work with this kid who never, and I mean never, came to school. Like I'm pretty sure he was a myth, an urban legend. Some people in the class didn't even know he existed. I'd heard rumors about him, but I never actually saw him. He was like Bigfoot, except instead of being in the woods, he was just not in class. And when I saw his name on my group, I immediately knew I was cooked. No chance this dude was contributing at all. 0% probability. First day of the project, I show up, ready to divide the work. He's not there. Day 2, still not there. Day 3, nowhere to be found. A full week goes by and he's radio silent. We had 25 days to complete this project and he was not there for a single one. Honestly, like that takes commitment. So I accept my fate. I'm doing this entire project solo. I'm staying up till 2 a.m. on some nights just working on it. I've made peace with it. I'm prepared to present this entire project by myself. I've practiced my lines. I've practiced his lines. I'm ready. But presentation day arrives. I walk into class mentally prepared to solo this entire thing. And guess who walks in that door? For the first time in I don't know how long, my group project partner shows up to class. This man walks into class on presentation day, the only day he's been here pretty much all semester, and I realize we have a serious problem. We've never discussed anything about the project. He doesn't know what the topic is. He doesn't know what's on the slides. He probably doesn't even know what class this is. Why did he have to show up on this one day? And it's not like I can just present the whole thing while he's standing right there next to me. No, the teacher knows that it has to be a collaborative effort. So eventually we get called up to present and I'm sweating. He's standing next to me looking at the slides for literally the first time in his life and he says,
Yo, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. Oh, yeah, nice to meet you too. It's not nice to meet you! You just ruined our whole project! Anyways, I start presenting and it's going fine. I'm delivering my parts, the class is paying attention, the teacher is nodding, and I'm just thinking, okay, you know what, I am just gonna say the whole thing, and he can just stand there next to me, nodding like he doesn't know how to speak. Maybe we can just convince the teacher that he had a sore throat and couldn't say anything. But then, after reading about 50% of the presentation, once we go on to the next slide, right as I'm about to speak, he goes,
I got this one.
and he turns around facing directly towards the presentation, trying to figure out what to say. And he just goes,
So, as you can see from the graph,
he pauses, actually reads the slide for a second,
and then goes, so the numbers on the graph, they go up, and sometimes they go down, yeah.
I'm crying inside. I'm standing next to him having an out-of-body experience. And he just keeps going.
And as we can see, this connects to the thing we were talking about earlier.
What thing? We did not talk about anything earlier, lil bro. You weren't even here. The class is confused. The teacher is confused. I'm confused. He's just making stuff up at this point. Full improvisation. Finally, he finishes the slide, and I make sure that I read the rest of them from that point on. We then finish and go back to our seats. Of course, I'm traumatized. I need therapy, and the teacher asks,
Did you guys evenly contribute the work on this project?
we both look at each other. I'm thinking about the 40 hours I put into this thing, the all-nighters, the research, and I go, yeah. Because what else am I gonna say? I'm not snitching, but also, I'm not happy. But we get our grade back a week later, A-. We both got an A-. This man did absolutely nothing, showed up for 8 minutes, said the numbers go up and down, and got an A-. I'm pretty sure I did the biggest carry job since LeBron in the finals in 2018. But that's group projects for you. The teacher hits you with the classic line.
We do group projects because they prepare you for the real world.
Mrs. Smith, no they don't. On to the next school experience we've all gone through. And this one needs to be illegal. So I'll let you guys guess what this next experience is. Is it A, being accused of having a crush on someone you do not like? B, getting fed slop from the school cafeteria? Or C, walking into class and forgetting you had a test that day? You guessed it, the answer is none of the above. Because the real answer is school couples. Now I know what you're all thinking. Tyler, you're just saying this because you're jealous you were never in a relationship during school. And while you are correct, and I do want to cry because of that, I'm not saying all school couples are bad. I'm talking about the ones who operate under the belief that everyone else is just a background character in their romantic movie. Because picture this, you're walking to class, trying to get to your locker, but oh no, you can't because someone's in front of it. A guy and a girl just making out with each other right in front of where you have to go. They've been there for 6 minutes, haven't paused a second to even take a breath of fresh air, and you need to get your textbook. You're gonna be late, but you can't interrupt them, so you just wait. You just stand there looking like an NPC right in front of people who are making out. Nah, but seriously, school couples are a different breed. Like, I used to be at lunch in school just trying to eat my food in peace, and the couple that would always sit at the spot right behind me was giving me the ick. And I don't even know what that word really means, to be honest. I just hear everyone else say it. First of all, they'd always sit on each other's lap, which doesn't sound too weird until you realize the dude was the one sitting on her lap. They're feeding each other their food, talking in baby voices, calling each other names like Boo Bear and Pookie, and a bunch of other names that should be illegal. So you would think, dang, these two are really comfortable with each other. How long have they been dating? Like 3 years or so? No, try 9 days. And they're already posting my forever and always on Instagram. And then the inevitable happens. After about 3 weeks of dating, they break up. So to all the school school couples out there, please just do all that freaky stuff at home, not in front of my locker. This next unavoidable school experience is one I really hope is relatable, because if I'm the only one that's been through it, that's gonna be super embarrassing. But all of us, and I mean all of us, have gone into class before when we're tired, brain's not fully working, and you're just sitting there, but you have to go to the bathroom. So you raise your hand, the teacher says, yes, Tyler, and then it happens. You say, hey mom, can Mrs. Smith, time stops. Your life flashes before your eyes. Everything you've ever done, every mistake you've ever made has led to this moment. You've made a critical, irreversible error. The class reaction is instant.
Yo, he called the teacher mom!
Everyone in class is laughing at you, even though it ain't really that funny. Even the quiet kid in the back, who never makes a sound, is losing it. Yeah, I'm talking to you, Harold. Don't think I don't remember that day. You've united the entire class in your humiliation. Crips and Bloods could be in this room, and they'd put aside their differences just to laugh at you. Your face goes from a normal color to looking like a tomato in 0.3 seconds. You can feel the heat radiating from your cheeks. And then the teacher responds. Some teachers can be cool about it and just be like, oh, Tyler, it's okay. It was a mistake. But other teachers get weird about it. They pause. They look at you with this expression you can't quite read. I'm not your mom. Oh, really? Thank you for the clarification. I was wondering why you were a ginger and I came out with brown hair. Really helpful. Definitely didn't make this worse. So you try to recover and go, can I go to the bathroom, Mrs. Teacher? But it's too late. Everyone already heard it. The damage is done. You could cure cancer by the end of that day and you would still be known as the kid who called the teacher mom. So if you ever accidentally do this, my advice to you is drop out, move to a foreign country, learn the language, cut off all contact with your family, and live a simple lifestyle on a farm. You got no other option. But you know what's even worse than calling your teacher mom? Seeing your teacher outside of school. Finding your teacher outside of school is like seeing a zoo animal in the wild. It just feels fundamentally wrong, like a glitch in the Matrix. You're at Walmart shopping with your mom, and then you see them. Your history teacher, Mr. Jacobs, standing in the cereal aisle. But something's different, because this time he's wearing shorts. Teachers are allowed to wear normal clothes? Your brain can't process it. Like teachers actually exist outside of school? They buy groceries and have lives? They're not just NPCs who spawn in the classroom at 8 a.m. and despawn at 3 p.m.? This is deeply upsetting information. Now you only have 1 second to make a decision when this happens. Do you say hi to your teacher, or do you hide? Or do you pretend to not see them at all? All three options are terrible. There's no good outcome here. You're in a lose-lose-lose situation. If you acknowledge them, you have to do awkward small talk. Oh, hey, Mr. Johnson, crazy to see you here. And then your mom and the teacher are forced to interact, and you're holding your breath, hoping that he doesn't mention the time where you were 1 decimal away from failing the class. I've seen my teacher in public a couple times, and the most funny experience I have of this happening is when I saw my teacher at the gym, my science teacher, who was usually a really strict dude. The type of teacher who'd give you detention for breathing too loud. I couldn't imagine this guy having any other hobbies besides grading papers and hating teenagers. But I'm at the gym trying to work out and I see him walk in. So I'm thinking, do not make eye contact, do not make eye contact, do not make eye contact. I'm strategically positioning myself on the opposite side of the gym as him, trying to stay super far away. But at the same time, I'm kind of curious because I want to see what it looks like when he works out. I just didn't expect him to. He wasn't in bad shape or anything, but like I said, I literally could not imagine this guy outside of school. So I'm like, oh, what is he gonna do? Some squats, maybe a bench press? But I couldn't have been any more shocked than what I saw that day. Because instead of picking up any weights, I see him walk into one of those group dance fitness classes. You know the ones, loud music, choreographed moves, lots of middle-aged women trying to keep their hips usable. And I'm just thinking, there's no way. He's probably just passing through. Maybe he's looking for someone. But surely, he's not actually participating in this class, right? There's no way this man enjoys dancing or anything that has to do with fun. So obviously, I have to investigate. So I go inside the dance room to grab a mat to stretch on, and there he is, fully committed to the routine, doing the hip thrusts, the arm waves, everything. Our science teacher actually has hobbies. Neither of us would ever mention it. Seeing your teacher outside of school is like finding out your parents had lives before you were born. You just can't imagine it. Okay, Tyler, surely you've already gone over all the universal school experiences. There can't be any more, right? Wrong. Because one year, my family went on vacation, and I missed the entire first week of school. Great planning, by the way, Mom and Dad. But anyways, when I came back, school had already been in session for a full week. But this was my first day, so I get my schedule. I know where I'm supposed to be, or at least I think I do, and I walk into what I'm pretty sure is my art class. Of course, I'm the last one to arrive because I was trying to figure out the room numbers while everyone else already knew them, and there's only one empty seat in the room. So obviously, that empty seat must be mine. That's just easy logic. I sit down, pull out my notebook, ready to learn about, I don't know, the colors of the rainbow or something, and the teacher starts talking. I'm I'm listening like a good student, but something feels off. I can't quite put my finger on it, but something isn't right. We're about 30 minutes into class, and instead of talking about art stuff, the teacher is going deep into Abraham Lincoln's assassination. Like, really deep into it. Details about John Wilkes Booth, the layout of Ford's Theater, and I'm sitting here thinking, okay, this is weird, but maybe this is just one of those teachers that gets sidetracked yapping and you never end up actually doing any work. Or maybe we're gonna be painting Abraham Lincoln's beard or something. But then she passes out an assignment, and I realize, hold on, this is a history worksheet. So now I'm like, am I in the wrong class? But I can't be, because no one said anything when I sat down in this seat, and the teacher made eye contact with me and smiled when she handed out the worksheet. So I tap the kid sitting next to me and go, hey, is this art class? He looks at me like I've lost my mind. Nah, bro, this is history. I have no idea what's going on. I'm thinking I just got put on the newest episode of Impractical Jokers. So I raise my hand. The teacher calls on me and I go, am I in the right class? The entire class turns to look at me all at the same time. 30 pairs of eyes. And the teacher goes,
Steven, what kind of question is that?
so I say, my name is Tyler, not Steven. And this is where she looks a little closer at me and then says,
Oh, yeah, you're not Steven. You just kind of look like him.
then she opens her roll call and goes,
No, there's no Tyler on my list. You're not in any of my classes.
and I don't think you guys realize how horribly awkward it was to leave the class when you figured out you're in the wrong one. People are staring at you harder than your dog when you got a piece of food in your hand. I check my schedule and find the actual art class I'm supposed to be in. And you know where I made my mistake? My class was in room 103. I accidentally went to room 183 because for whatever reason, some people write the letter 0 with a slash going across it. Why do we do that? Anyways, whatever, who cares? Anyways, do you know what I did next? I dropped out, moved to a foreign country, learned the language, cut off all contact with my family, and lived a simple lifestyle on a farm. I had no other option. Now, I need to tell you one relatable school experience that can be quite terrifying. But before I say what it is, I have to ask, did you guys know teachers have a superpower that nobody talks about? That's right. They can sense the exact moment you're not paying attention. You could be locked in for 45 minutes straight, taking notes, nodding along, being the perfect student, but the second you zone out for 3 seconds to think about what soap LeBron uses in the shower, the teacher strikes. They call on you, and they only do this when they know you're not paying attention. It's like they've got a sense for it. They're just professional rage baiters. So you try the classic stalling move. Can you repeat the question? You're buying time, desperately looking around for context clues like you're a detective trying to solve a murder, checking the board, glancing at other people's notebooks, hoping someone looks at you and mouths the answer. So the teacher repeats the question, as if that was gonna help, and you just go for the vague response that sounds intelligent but means absolutely nothing. I think there is no right or wrong answer because at the end of the day, everything is subjective. And then the teacher responds with,
No, Tyler. The correct answer was 5.
very rarely will you get a time where you accidentally guess the right answer. Completely on accident. And the teacher's furious because they know you just got lucky, but there's nothing they could do about it. So if you ever get called on and you have no idea what the answer is, all you gotta do is walk out of the class, drop out, move to a foreign country, learn the language, cut off all contact with your family, and live a simple lifestyle on a farm because you have no other option. Let me know what other relatable school experiences I forgot in the comments down below. But for now, it's time to get back to the farm.